Welcome to Happily Ever Aftermath,
the podcast where we discuss relationships in movies and our relationships with them.
I'm Polina Grunbaum.
And I'm Diana Rojek-Sconard.
Good hello.
Hey there.
I just started to say good hello. I'm going to start over.
Good hello.
Good hello. A good hello to you, fair lady. And a good morrow.
No, that was
last week.
Tally ho.
I can't do like a bad
to the new
Italian
listeners, welcome
accent. Yes, welcome.
Please note that we're having a hard time getting started, but I swear we are competent professionals.
Yes, you are in good hands.
Welcome.
Doing whatever it is that you're doing while
Moonstruck.
You're listening to this podcast. Welcome to Moonstruck, not Moonlight or Moonlighting.
Not Moonlight.
Very,
not
very different.
Yes.
On to both of those.
Considered to be one of the greatest romantic comedies of all time.
For very good reason, I think.
And also considered, depending on who you read, one of the most overrated movies of all time. But only if you read Premiere Magazine.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's now gone.
I know. I was like, also Janet Maslin was not a fan at the time.
Blink, blink.
Contemporaneously,
Blink,
she was the New York Times.
Thank you.
She was the New York Times film critic at the time. So
well, there we go.
But Roger Ebert liked it. So if you're looking for, people reviewing movies in the 80s, that's what you got.
Welcome to us, who are talking about Moonstruck now.
Yeah, I actually was a little anxious that I would fall into the, oh my God, it's overrated category.
Okay.
But I did not.
This was a brand new to me movie. It was one of those situations where, all right, I know Cher is going to slap somebody and say snap out of it. Mm-hmm. And I also know she won an Oscar for this role.
She did.
Despite the fact that it feels like she should have won for like Mask or one of the other.
She should have won for Mask. It was pretty good.
Because this is a lighter movie.
Actually, I kind of think Oscars are BS, so I actually don't really even, but care.
Yes.
But yes. So I also, just for our listeners who were not, who were like sort of missed the 80s, lucky you.
How young are our listeners? Or
who knows?
Or how many people were in comas during the 80s that are our listeners?
Well, I mean, I want to be inclusive, but I just want to, or rather, I mean, even if you were alive in the 80s, you may have, if you were young, you may not realize a few things because, we all come to, kind of conscious, like pop culture consciousness at different times. But, or you know what? Here's the other thing.
Go ahead.
You could have been living in another country.
Like yourself?
Well, not in the 80s, but yes. Yes, okay. But you could have in the 80s been living. And there's lots of reasons that you wouldn't know the following fact, or not fact. But I just want to say that, so Cher, this is the before turn back time Cher. This is like at this point, Cher in these past couple of years, I actually thought it was like a longer time frame, but basically she acted in like a lot of really amazing movies in like this is I think her third. I mean I looked this up and of course I probably forgot it, but she was in
Silkwood.
She was in Silkwood.
Mask.
She was in Come Back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean, which is kind of what started it. She was even on
The Sausage Guy?
Broadway. What?
Jimmy Dean, the Sausage Guy?
No, I think like James Dean, but that's okay. But it's okay. Moving on. I mean,
I just dated myself as well.
Now I really want sausage.
Not the legendary actor, the Sausage Guy.
Yeah, the Sausage Guy. Yeah. So I guess we're doing it. So,
1987.
James Dean. We're going to do a James Dean movie. So 1987. And this was and this was kind of at the height, and then. Of this, like she was starting to be taken seriously as a serious actress. Nicolas Cage was fairly had only done hadn't done much at this point.
Don't do your Nicolas Cage impression. Don't do your Nicolas Cage impression. Don't do your Nicolas Cage impression.
Please do your Nicolas Cage impression.
I can't do it. No. See, now the
I can't
pressure's
do
on.
it. I can't do it.
Also, Ryan has said that my Nicolas Cage impression is just plagiarizing other people's Nicolas Cage impression.
I kind of feel like most Nicolas Cage impressions are like that. Like Nicolas Cage, like it's sort of a game of telephone with a lot of impressions.
My Nicolas Cage...
Martin Scorsese impressions are like this too.
You mean Marty Scorsese? If you like work with him, I always hear that. Like when they call him
Marty.
Like when they call him Bobby De Niro, it's like that sounds funny. Yeah. No, that sounds. Really
I remember picking up props from somebody when I was working in New York, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I have to go meet with Marty," and then they left, and I was like, and then I'm like, "Oh, I don't care," and they're like, "They met Martin Scorsese," and like we both freaked out, and then I had to get back in my terrifying van,
and then
drive back.
And then did you slowly pick up the name that person dropped when they came back? And handed it back to them?
That's exactly how I did that. I don't think I ever saw them again, but anyway.
Yeah. So description of the movie
itself. So I'm actually getting this description from Garin Pirnia. I am so sorry if I am butchering your name. I know what that's like. But it's from it was Mental Floss, 13 Enchanting Facts about Moonstruck. She actually has a great description. And it's quite short.
Go for it.
Cher plays Loretta Castorini, a widow living with her Sicilian family in Brooklyn. Despite being superstitious about love, she agrees to marry Johnny Camerieri, played by Danny Aiello. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Mm-hmm. That is until she meets his jaded brother, Nicolas Cage, goes to see La Boheme with him, and realizes, "I love him awful," which is an actual quote from the movie. I think this kind of sums it up because there's just a lot going on, but
there's a lot and not a lot going on in this movie.
Yes.
I couldn't get the time frame.
I was just so funny because I was kind of thinking about that too, because when the movie started, so if you haven't seen this movie, by the way,
well, she just gave you the full description.
That's all you need to know. Basically, Cher plays this. So it's a lot about an Italian, a couple Italian families in Brooklyn, and so a lot of the. It's not just about these two people. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a family. It's kind of an ensemble comedy, really.
Oh yeah. I actually got kind
of like My Big Fat Greek Wedding in a way, which this often gets compared to. Really? And in fact, because if you didn't listen to the episode, I am probably the only person in the U.S., statistically speaking, who has never seen My Fat Greek Wedding. Before I was told to. Well, that may have been the problem. I just kept butchering the name, and it just never came up in a search. Mm-hmm. And I, as a result, I kind of thought it would be more like this movie. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I love this.
That's not fair, going in thinking, oh, it's going to be like this, and that's a movie you really, really enjoy, and then you see this other movie. It's just like, ugh.
I wonder if that was it. Because I think the only person who didn't enjoy them.
Well, no. I mean, some people, there's always the backlash of a movie. But
yeah. Well, it's a big movie. And this one, we mentioned the backlash. But
what's even funnier is that, so I really related to My Big Fat Greek Wedding because it was about the foibles of family. Mm-hmm. Whereas with Moonstruck, it was difficult because while I do have a percentage of Italian in my blood, mm-hmm. not boiling, not the stereotype of just mm-hmm. I got to stop moving my hands in that stereotypical way. And mm-hmm. and I told Ryan that I was going to, the impressions will mm-hmm. be minimal. My Italian, my Nicolas Cage. Oh my God, if I did an Italian Nicolas Cage impression.
That's actually Janet Maslin, I think, said, I was reading the review, and she said that it's a movie about Italians by someone who had not been, who had only been as close to Italy as Ohio. She obviously said it a little But
they went to Palermo.
Yeah. Somebody goes to Palermo in this movie.
Yeah,
they do, and there is a couple scenes in Palermo.
Well, I'm sure it was a Palermo soundstage.
Yeah. I don't think they flew. It's basically
Aiello got on a plane.
Yeah,
for his one scene.
So the reason it's called Moonstruck is basically because, in theory, is basically everything kind of takes place on one of these really, really crazy kind of harvest or blue moons. There's enormous moon periods where it's super full. And the idea is that it's kind of mentioned a lot that there's just basically it sort of talks about the like how the moon makes you, a little crazy and a little love struck, the full moon. And so when I came to this movie, so my relationship with this movie very quickly is basically looking back, I think I saw this with my mother. So I was like probably 15, maybe 14 or 15. I saw it with my mother. And this was a huge hit. Like everyone saw this movie.
Right. Various Oscar wins.
Yeah. So when I wanted to if I wanted to hang out with adults, when we'd go see my parents' friends or whatever, I would talk about this movie. And so I think some of my love for it comes from that. I watched it over and over again. It was on TV. I think we may have had a video of it. I don't think it was one of those after school, just watch over and over again kind of movies, but it definitely we made a lot of jokes about it. And watching it now, when I 14, 15, I probably have seen it, 3 or 4, I probably saw it, over years on planes, on TV a couple times. And the one thing that I think struck me at the time, it's that, all I could really see, of course, was the two lovers, the Nicolas Cage and Cher.
It's very strange.
So it's Loretta and Ronnie.
Strange to hear Nicolas Cage referred to as lover.
Well, that's the other thing. I also, I was talking about going back in time and seeing Cher in a different way. Did you turn back time? I could find a way.
Okay.
I could take back those words that I mangled.
So in college, my roommate would sing that, and he would sing it very falsetto, and he would also only sing the first line. And so I didn't know that there were other words to that song. Oh,
there are. It's one of those songs, now I'm going to have it stuck in my head for ages. But I want to see,
You're welcome.
It just keeps on giving. Also Nicolas Cage was more of an kind of a art house. Maybe not quite. He wanted to be.
He hadn't broken just yet, and one of the things.
Well, but he didn't want to make those kind of movies, right?
Well, it's kind of really hard to tell. First of all,
I mean, he said it. He said he barely even wanted to make Moonstruck. He wanted to make, because he really wanted to make indie films that were really edgy and really,
Nicolas Cage. No.
Yes.
No.
Well, you got to remember. Yeah, I know, but but at the time, he didn't I did not know him as the action hero. Well, I don't see a lot of action movies, so even if I did, but
have you ever seen Vampire's Kiss?
Yes. Well, he made that right after this.
I was gonna ask because right now I'm just very distracted because my apologies. I should have done my research, but Nicolas Cage is he's
beautiful in this.
I don't even know where to begin with him just as the actor Nicolas Cage because
we don't have the time.
No. Because 2018, he's bought an island, trying really hard to make enough money so he can keep his dinosaur eggs. Named his son Kal-El, because the son of Jor-El, because he's obsessed with Superman. He's obsessed with Elvis. Married Lisa Marie Presley, and he has all of these interesting things, but he's damn talented in
he's
what
amazing.
he does. When he decides that this is what he wants to do, it could be a gigantic question mark, but it takes multiple times for you to realize how brilliant it is.
He is. Well, the other thing is my relationship with him at the time was, I saw Peggy Sue Got Married.
That was the strangest choice, his voice in that movie.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the real thing that I felt right before I saw this movie, or a couple years before, even though I kind of saw it later, is this movie Birdie.
I don't know that one.
Which not a lot of people. It's Birdie was like a totally seminal film of my early teenage years.
Does it work for this podcast?
I don't think so.
Okay. Thanks for admitting it.
It kind of got me into Peter Gabriel early, and it got me into. I was also super into. It got me really into Nicolas Cage.
Okay.
It's a very. I haven't seen it in years. It's a very intense movie. It's basically about a Vietnam vet who comes back and is trying and finds out his best friend is in a mental institution, and he's become a
Have you talked about this movie before on the podcast?
I probably have, because I was really into it, and I really wish it had. I wish it had some romance, and also I really liked. It's based on William Wharton novel. I started reading William Wharton. You know, one of those things you go down a rabbit hole when you're a teenager. Of
course.
And I wish I had time to do that now.
Every little thing.
And I haven't seen it in years. I remember it being an absolutely beautiful movie. It's really, really haunting, and it's about him trying to deal with this fact.
What other Nicolas Cage movies did you find yourself watching due to your...
Later on or earlier?
Well, I mean, you're talking... So
Wild at Heart, of course.
Oh, okay, so that was actually my follow-up question, because he did do the indie movies. I hear about him in Wild at Heart. I must have picked up the mainstream ones, because I did see Peggy Sue Got Married. Yeah. And I only saw Vampire's Kiss recently. And it was because they were doing it on an episode of How Did This Get Made? Oh, yeah. Excellent show. Yeah. Excellent episode.
So good.
Yeah. It was pretty funny. But I was going to ask, because Ryan, when I was watching this movie, of course, we're already wondering, like, what crazy thing is Nicolas Cage going to do? Because we know current Nicolas Cage. What's he going to do to make this role his own, or all this other stuff? And he's like, what's that crazy accent he's doing? I'm like, Italian? He's like, what? And I'm like, I thought he was doing like a weird, like, just kind of not lisp, but maybe affectation or something like that. But I'm just like, no, it's Italian. I didn't really notice anything, because we're used to the big quirks.
Well, yeah, and especially in action movies, I think it's like he brings the Nicolas Cage. The other movie that I loved him in, of course, there's like Raising Arizona, but
I didn't like Raising Arizona.
I liked it, but also most importantly for me at the time, because we could just go on talking about Nicolas Cage movies for the entire podcast, and maybe we should. He was in Rumblefish.
That's another one of them that I hear about. Is that another David Lynch?
It's an S.E. It's like the author of Outsiders, S.E. Hinton. It's like one of those. I think it's a Coppola film.
Is that like? Well, what a surprise! Is that like the hipster Cage? So like you've got Face Off and The Rock and Con Air is one version of Nicolas Cage, and then you've got the Wild at Hearts and the Rumblefish and the Vampire's Kiss.
I guess that's
hipster
my Nicolas. That's my Cage.
Your Cage?
It's my Cage.
Yeah,
and the birdie, like playing the Vietnam vet who is trying to recover is trying to like deal with the fact that his friend has become a bird.
Okay.
Or thinks he's become a bird.
Yeah. Whereas in Moonstruck, he just doesn't have a hand.
No, he does not have a hand.
Yeah, that's kind of odd.
Yeah. Okay, so
he's so angry about it too.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you don't pay attention. So basically, So in the movie, Cher plays this kind of bookkeeper to a lot of either family friends or actual family businesses. They have this. So it takes place in Brooklyn. In like a kind of a Little Italy sort of thing, which I'm sorry, I should know the neighborhood that they're talking about, but
is it?
But I don't.
Would New Yorkers know?
Probably, but
you're California now.
Damn you.
Nah, you like
It's
it.
true. I do like it.
Okay, New York.
Well, so it's like a very close knit Italian neighborhood. There's like there's the bakery, there's the bakery, there's the flower shop. Her father is a plumber. They live with the grandfather. They're going to basically live there until they until she gets married. They even debate, like, he debates, like, oh, when you guys get married, are you going to live here with the house? Like, it's a very kind of, it's still a traditional thing. Like, neighborhoods that I loved hanging out in when I lived in New York and in other places. But
which is funny because that seems like a very familial thing, but from this lens, it just kind of also speaks to, like, yeah, it's really expensive to live in New York. If you were just to take that exact scenario now.
Yeah. I mean,
multiple generations living. First of all, that house is huge.
Yeah. And he talks about that. He was like a very successful plumber.
Yeah. I mean, $10,000 for, replacing some pipes back in 1987. Yeah.
Copper.
It's copper.
Copper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Copper.
Very opinionated plumber.
Which
is nice.
Pushy plumber.
Oh, yeah. No, he's a genius. You can tell he's just a genius. He's like, I know how to work these people.
Yeah, and that's
that was great.
And
I
didn't care
thought
for
that was great.
But you're not supposed to. His character is not the best.
No, his character
has moral flaws.
Yeah, there we go. So, we're
Danny Aiello.
So basically, she's very practical.
A little too. She's simultaneously practical and kind of superstitious.
Yeah, which I don't know. I mean, I feel like you can be practical and superstitious. I feel like the two come from very different places.
They do, but
it surprises you when she comes out with it. So essentially, she's this bookkeeper, and she's kind of resigned herself. She kind of goes around places. It's a very, very tight knit family. Mm-hmm. And so you see Danny, they're at like their local restaurant. I'm
sorry. I need to back up just a little bit.
Okay.
When the movie started and I'm hearing that's amore.
Yeah, it was a bit much.
It wasn't so much it was a bit much as I felt really bad. I'm thinking like, damn it. And Ryan's like, I'm thinking of Olive Garden breadsticks right now. He's like, yeah, does that mean you want Red Lobster biscuits? I'm like, yeah, you know me so well.
Oh my God, I love that. That's where you went. I was watching them. There was eat at one point, and I was like, I need to make myself a snack. Like, I watched this at the wrong time. Anyway, so they're having he
Danny Aiello's character Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny. Basically proposes to her.
Mm-hmm. I love the way everyone in the restaurant knows his business.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
That's actually and it's like a really tiny restaurant, and the owner, like, he already, he did the right thing. He talks to the owner, he makes sure the champagne's ready, and the whole time he's wearing a suit and he's about to fly off to Italy. Mm-hmm. This is when people traveled in suits, and everyone else was like all dressed, and it was like a nice suit too.
Yep. Yeah. Back when you still did that.
Yeah. And he and she's clearly like at one point like they kind of set her up and they say the floor, like she's at the florist's, her uncle, I think, and like is doing the books, and the guy goes, oh, this guy's such a great customer, like and he's sending a dozen red roses, and she says oh, that customer's just spending a lot of money for something that's just gonna die, which
that's a woman after my heart.
Totally.
Right? Yeah. It wasn't until I got older.
I love fresh flowers, but I feel like the dozen roses, it's just not worth it. They're not that nice.
Oh, well, see, they're
such a cliche.
Well, not even the cliche so much as that. It wasn't until I hit my 30s where I finally decided, okay, I'm okay with flowers now, but they better spend less than $5.
That's hard to do.
No, I got to Trader Joe's.
I actually bought like my father always brought flowers home, and the flowers were like cut flowers were a really big part of my growing up, and that's like kind of concept of but my husband right now is not great at buying me flowers. However, he is like he's great at like taking care of so many things that I'm like, That's okay.
Flowers are irrelevant in the grand scheme of the other things.
Because he always makes sure that I have my blender is perfectly clean in the morning to make my smoothies. Like seriously, practically every morning.
That's love.
I love you.
That's love. Clean blender.
He's gonna be so embarrassed. He's just like a very thoughtful guy, and he always leaves the light. Like whenever he goes to when he goes to bed, and he always leaves the light on. It's very cute. He's just a very nice man, and I like him a lot, which is good. Anyway, so basically and she's like, she sets out, like, first she's like tells him, don't have the fish because you're going to be in a
it's going to mess with the stomach.
Because basically he's flying to Italy because his mother is dying, and he suddenly is like. He proposes to her in like kind of a bit of a ham-fisted way, and she's like, no, this is not the way you do it. Like, and she has all these rules.
Get on your knees.
You have to have a ring. So he takes off the pinky ring.
Yeah.
And he goes, but I like this, which I'm like, don't marry that guy.
I also really
don't marry that guy. Like the pinky ring. Like instead he's like, I have to have this because I'm flying to see my mother and it's my father's pinky ring. Then I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. But seriously. You can't not wear a pinky ring.
I kind of appreciate when I said, like, I'm gonna wrinkle my pants.
Yeah, but her whole thing, because the thing is, it comes out of kind of nowhere because she is so practical. She's like, I like the suit. She bought him the suit. She was like there when he bought the suit.
Yeah.
She wants to. She's kind of organizing and making sure everyone, kind of like you, bringing my little fidget toys, and just like she's very much like this is what she's very practical. But you see. In little moments like the florist hands her a rose and she's just like delights in the one rose. She smells it, she looks at it, but she also it surprises you when she's like, this isn't the right way to do it, and you find out that she is a widow, and her husband died very soon. They didn't have very long together, just a few years,
like 3,
and that she has convinced herself that she's unlucky. And the man so when she gets home, she tries to tell her parents. This I totally I'm not Italian, but the family not being like super, like supportive and kind of instantly self-involved when you tell them something. I was like, oh yeah, I know that. Like, finding all the negatives, it's like you're protecting yourself, by finding all the negative things about this thing. Like the amount of times I've had to be like to my mom, like, Mom, like, could you just be, I don't know, like happy for me? Just a thought.
What's that going to prove?
Yeah, exactly. What's that going to do? It's not her job. It's not her job to be happy for me. That's other people's jobs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That cut deep.
Yeah. It's been an intense week.
This is my big fat Greek wedding.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't know. I don't know if it goes out for, but that scene, now that I think about it, is great. But the other thing is basically her mom asks, played by Olympia Dukakis, who, by the way, she was doing a lot of stage roles. I think she was in a few minor things. And this movie, because it was such a big hit, she was paying for her daughter's college on credit cards. Wow. But this movie was such a breakthrough thing for her that she was able to just like send all of her kids to school. And
I love it.
I love this. This is in the 13 Enchanted Facts that I noticed earlier. And so I just want to
link to that article.
Out. Yeah, it's sweet. So so there I was. So the thing is, he asks her for one thing. He asks her to find her brother. And I realized I didn't finish the last story that I meant to say, which is that the mom when she tells her mom that she's engaged, she says, do you love him? And she goes, no. And the mother goes, that's good, because I can't remember the exact line, but it's basically like that way they can't walk all over you.
Yeah.
Like they can't control you because you don't love them. And she's like, then she's happy for her. So anyway, so basically she's convinced herself that she's unlucky in love. She doesn't really, I think she's feels affectionate toward him.
Is she happy?
But I don't think she's particularly happy. I don't think she's unhappy. I think this is just her life. But I think she doesn't realize that she's unhappy.
Okay. That's
my theory. So this was my whole sort of, like, when I saw this movie as a youngster.
Mm-hmm. How young was the youngster?
So like 14, 15.
Okay.
And then, I probably watched a bunch of times since.
Yeah.
I watched it with my mom a lot of times. The thing that it was this thing of like, oh yeah, this movie is so great because it's like I didn't notice any of the other characters except for the mother-daughter stuff, the stuff that I was related to. Mm-hmm. Rewatching it, it's basically, because it takes place over a moon, over this time of the moon, everyone is sort of interacting with the love in their lives and what it means to them. And everyone's going through sort of a bit of a crucible in this way. So there was a lot more than just Cher to me. There was a lot more than Loretta and Ronnie to me in this movie. But I think so basically she is told like, please make sure that my brother comes to the wedding. And she's like, I didn't even know you had a brother. And she's like, we've been estranged. We had a falling out. But he doesn't really have time to tell her why. So she finds him and he works in the basement of this bakery, which is actually a real bakery. Mm-hmm. And in like where the ovens and the dough is. And they actually filmed it. This is, you don't even have to read this. Just keep naming facts from this. They filmed it there. So you walk in and he's like shirtless.
No, he's wearing a tank top.
Okay.
Focus, Polina.
Oh, sorry.
Just because his chest hair was coming out of the tank top, that doesn't mean he was shirtless.
Actually, I think the tank top makes him more. There was something about it. It's like you see him and he just looks like a pure
down girl.
He looks like an animal. And they say later on, she's like, you're a wolf. Like you have a wolf soul. Mm-hmm. Anyway. So it's like super hot in this place. Like first she tries to call him on the phone. It doesn't work. He hangs up on her. He sort of freaks out and she's like, can we just talk? And so she goes down there. She's like, I'm just going to resolve this. This is like I'm planning a wedding in a month.
I don't have time for this.
I need to do this. Yeah. I can do this by talking because this is how I do things. And she comes in, she sees him and he's wearing gloves. It was important later. And then she's like, what's this riff with your brother?
And then he cages it up.
Oh, he cages. He goes absolutely, he throws things. He rips off the glove. He's like, yes.
I lost my hand.
I wish you were here to see this. The face is almost as good as the voice. So
thanks.
So there he was. And then she's basically like she's like, what the heck is going on? Like, this is not how this was supposed to go.
I like the fact that when he tells the story of the falling out, Johnny distracted him. And so his fingers went into the slicer.
Yeah.
So because Johnny was the one who made him turn his head, he lost his fingers. He blames Johnny. And she just doesn't even blink and goes, how is this Johnny's fault?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm like, oh,
yeah. That's what's great. Yeah.
You are not
scared
of this.
He's made up. I mean, I think she's just like, this is insane. This guy is like, this guy needs help. But he's now going to be my brother-in-law. So I'm stuck with, I'm going to work with this.
Sure.
But yeah, he basically tells a story about how his brother took his girl, and why should he have to get married? Why should he get a girl?
Yep.
And why should he be successful when he took, the arm and then the girl left him because of the hand, or the hand, not the arm. And it's like, he literally distracted him for a second, not like
he didn't
on purpose. He was like,
there.
hey, bye. I forget exactly the thing, but and so, yeah, so she's like, this is ridiculous. And then she's like, can we go talk somewhere? Where do you live? And then the first thing she does, she makes a mistake.
Yep.
And he's like, well, I like it,
well done.
Well done. And she's like, well, you're going to have it, you need something, you need it bloody. for your blood. It's great. And just kind of takes over. And then, and they just kind of sit and they have this great they clearly sit for a few hours. They sit and they have some whiskey. And she's like, let me tell you, you're like, you've made up this story about you. They basically like kind of call each other out on their entire self-conception of what they, the story, the narrative, the bullshit narrative that they have attached themselves, constructed, their internal monologue. So basically for her, it's that she's unlucky and she will never, like, she's going to be unlucky in love. So, we're going to do this wedding right. So maybe I'll break the luck and that I'm unlovable. And he's like, that's ridiculous. Like it happened, like somebody died, and it's not because of the fact that you didn't get married in a church. It's because people get hit by a bus, and like this is basically like you're denying yourself love for because you've got some ridiculous notion. And she kind of says the same thing back to him. She's like, this was a terrible tragedy.
It's an accident,
but it was an accident, and you had nothing to do with it. And there's no, the girl wasn't right for you. And then she actually goes even a step further where she's like, you're a wolf, and the confines of this marriage were too much for you. Mm-hmm. And so you nod your own hand off. Like, it's this thing. And then, but it's like, they've only known each other for a few hours. Yeah. And then they have this incredibly passionate, he just gets up and kind of picks her up by the shoulders and kisses her. And at first she's like, no, stop this. And then she just is like, and then she just starts kissing him back. Mm-hmm. And it's,
ladies, this is what happens when you close yourself off for years.
Exactly. And there's,
you succumb to Nicolas Cage.
So this is not a cautionary tale. Like, so if you close yourself for years,
Nicolas Cage is not going to randomly show up. Pick the wrong man,
and that picking the wrong man and saying yes to his proposal will lead you to Nicolas Cage.
Only if you're Cher.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah. So
I realize I'm talking to the wrong person here.
See.
Damn. Fine. You will get Nicolas Cage, Polina, but you will get Nicolas Cage from Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance.
Oh man.
Sorry. With the flaming skull.
I knew it. I knew I couldn't get I knew I couldn't get indie Nicolas Cage.
Hipster Nicolas Cage.
Hipster Nicolas Cage.
Sorry.
Damn.
I gotta make it a cautionary tale.
Yeah. Okay. So
So after this happens, he tells her, she's like, no, I'm going to marry your brother. The iconic scene where he goes, I'm in love with you. She slaps him. She slaps him again. Snap out of it. And so there's this argument, but he says, okay, fine. I will let this go if you go to the opera with me. And I think that's pretty interesting. I know
that's actually the other thing that I think is great about this movie that I also I loved then, and I think my mom and I love is like so it opens with the Met at Lincoln Center and the kind of that middle of the night. And I remember when I worked in New York, walking by and seeing them change change what the what the next show was, or the next opera. But when they go to the opera together, first off, she gets like her hair done. Yep. She gets she buys a new dress.
Yeah.
And there's this scene of but the entire thing when they actually go to the opera is even the anticipation, the whole thing of walking, to the fountain to meet the person that you're going to meet with. It reminded me of sort of magical. It was reminding me of a date I actually went on to see. Actually, weirdly, Angels in America. This is in the 90s. I had a ticket to a premiere to the preview, and I took someone that I was really madly crushing on, and this just the magic of like, you show up, you're all dressed up, and you go, and then there's the sounds of the people and the way they're dressed, and then anticipation, and I like the Met, the chandeliers when they go up is like so, it's just there's like so evocative of like it does such a great job of capturing what it's like to go to see something, to go to the Met obviously, but also just to go see sort of live music or opera or ballet, just this in these kind of grand these grand spaces. Like I love going to the ballet. I love doing those things. And it's just like the thing right before you get the drink and you like pre-order. Always pre-order. That is one tip. You may not get Nicolas Cage, but you can have a drink waiting for you at intermission.
At the Met?
At every place, almost every place.
I don't know how ballets work.
Yeah.
You drink?
Well, you have intermission. You have to do something.
I go to the bathroom.
Well, you can do that and get a drink. That's why you pre-order.
Yeah, but just that the markup is ridiculous.
That's okay.
Find me the water fountain.
That's okay.
Oh my God, they charge for that?
No.
Okay.
No,
good.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know. It's part of the splurge. Anyway, I love going. And so it really captured the magic of, like, and then you're about to share this incredible experience. And she has never been to the opera before, and she falls in love. She loves it. They have this amazing moment. And just like that, sitting in a theater where it's like you're discovering the performance or the work, and you're in that, and then you're sitting next to this person, and it's like there's that electric energy. I think it just does such a beautiful job of that. And the watching, and like watching them, you get engrossed, and then suddenly you turn and you watch them get engrossed. Like just the whole, I think it captures. It's great for that.
See, you're so engrossed in telling me this part that I didn't want to say. They're engrossed, he's engrossed, and then he realized his other hand has gone into the slicer in the middle of the opera.
See, he's just like, you really got to focus when you're around sharp objects.
At the opera. Dang it. So,
you can't pre-order a hoagie.
So yeah, I mean, and as this is happening, you're seeing, the dynamics of her father and mother. Her father is cheating on her mother, and the mother is, I love this. John Mahoney appears in there as well, and he
is so great in this few scenes.
I'm conflicted because he's a jackass.
Yes, but he's such a perfect. And then the whole way he describes why so basically you keep seeing him. He's like the diner. They joke about it, like, oh, he's one of our best customers. Like, but basically you keep seeing him. He's with much younger women, and they throw. He's just a regular at this restaurant, and they throw drink. Yeah, they throw their drink in the face because he basically talks down to them.
Yeah. He's their teacher in college.
And then you find out why.
Yeah, and it just now in this climate, it's extra awkward.
It's extra, yes. But if we're gonna be like he talks about basically that he's so kind of burned out, and then he sees this person for whom it's like all fresh and it's exciting, and what he likes is that he sees himself in. He sees the person that he used to be, and then is. Yeah. This is what I mean. Everyone's going through this thing of realizing.
Yeah.
Because basically he ends up having dinner with
Loretta's mother,
Rose, who is played by Olympia Dukakis.
Yeah, who's currently upset because she knows her husband is having an affair, and so they have this conversation. She asks him, why do men chase women? And there's this, good conversation, and they, he walks her home. They have dinner together, and at the end, her father-in-law sees them together, and they're walking arm in arm, and it's just like he sees it, but at the same time, he doesn't say anything in the moment and walks away. Yeah. Which I thought was an interesting choice, but it's just like, well, where is this going to go? And as a viewer, I'm just like, do I want her to do anything with John Mahoney right now? I don't know. I want her to be happy, but I don't think her doing that would make her happy.
I think that's what's great. What she does is he goes, can I, come up? And he goes, and she goes,
no.
She goes, no, because I know myself, like,
well, just as
I know where I live.
I'm married.
Because I'm married, but also it's like, and then she adds, but I know myself. And it's basically that this was kind of what she needed to be reminded that she is, because I mean, they're walking, they're talking, they're not making out, they're not, it's,
I mean,
they're having a
very,
it's an arm in arm walk,
intimate,
but it's like
but
intimate. But I think the thing that she's getting is this reminder of her. It's not that you, as herself, because she's very straightforward with him.
Yep.
She asks him these, but yet she's very funny and very, and sort of playful and kind to him too. But she's like, you're kind. She points out you're ridiculous, and the thing that she kind of is reminded that as even she deserves this, like, this admiration and affection, and it kind of, I think, reminds her of like, oh yeah, actually I have a right to demand for my husband that he like stops doing this, and that we actually talk about it.
And I absolutely understand that entire scene, because being married in a long-term relationship, it's just like, I don't know what it's like to be out there, to get noticed, to be part of that kind of thing.
And then when it happens, you're like, oh, I forgot.
No, because I wasn't part of that. No, because if I did get attention, I immediately go to like, no, stop it, don't look at me, don't pay attention to me. So they'll be that. It's just like, oh, come on, how come the guys don't pay attention to me? And then if one were to pay attention to me, like, don't talk to me. No,
that panic.
I flash the ring. I'm married. How dare you throw a drink in his face and run?
It's like, I mean, I think of course, like, if I'm out, just to be fair to everybody, it's like you're out and you're getting like hit on, and it's really aggressive. But I mean, like the like, someone's talking to you, you're flirt. It's very like, there's, you're engaged in conversation, but you're like, oh yeah, nothing's going to happen. But it's like, oh, this person finds me attractive. This doesn't happen to me all the time or very often, really. But
I love you put a disclaimer to it.
I just want to make sure everyone's not like, oh, you're not that good, a little overweight. Or
hey, that's my friend you're talking about.
That's true. I'm going to stop being mean to your friend. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that, but I just, that sense that when you are in a long-term relationship, because I feel very, I mean, obviously, like, I mean, Sean, like, I have a very, like, affectionate relationship. So it's not like I'm like, oh, I feel so, dead inside.
Ignored.
But it's I don't at all. But it is that thing of having somebody else kind of see you
new and exciting. It's I actually have thought about that. Just what is it like? You're losing the new and exciting.
Yes.
And
you're gaining a lot.
Yeah. Well, I think the best that Ryan and I could do, because it never happens, but if we ever got an inkling of someone else hitting on us, the first thing we're going to do and go like, hey,
totally,
I got hit on. What are you going to do about it?
See, I remember it's really good Sean doesn't listen to this podcast as much as he should. He
poor Sean.
I know. He is I am always like really like thrilled for Sean when somebody is like exhibits interest. I'm just like, oh, this must feel really nice. Like, it's at that age.
That's
so I
when
don't know.
My wolf comes out, because that happened for a while though, because
I think when I was younger.
Well, no, when I was younger, it was just like, hey, back off. Like anything's going to happen, but it's just like, no, my property.
Yeah. I'm sort of at this point, I think I'm more like, but obviously if it was really threatening, that would feel different. So I don't know.
Course.
Anyway.
It's always fun in the hypothetical.
Yeah. There's so much but like, I do want to say, like, I think this movie, the other relationships in the movie, I think are the I like watching Cher. I think I've gone through this times where you kind of fall in, I think, into a you kind of forget how, I think she forgot how powerful and sort of crazy, like not like love, but like passion, and how it you can't snap out of it.
Okay.
Like, that's what's great about that scene, that you kind of can't snap out of it. And I mean, when she goes to the opera with him, she's like, nothing's going to happen. I'm going to continue to marry your brother. Mm-hmm. We did this once. No one will find out.
Yep.
And number 2, like, and we're not doing anything. Mm-hmm. But then, but she like gets the dress. Yeah. She gets like she gets a pair of shoes, and there's a scene where she's like basically looking at these things that she's stopped allowing herself because they're not practical, and she takes like a real pleasure in them. She takes pleasure in seeing her, like, suddenly she's in her body again, mm-hmm. in a way that she hasn't been, and
she's only in this movie 37 years old. The character, she says that, and she's got the grays dyed out and everything like that. Yeah. And like, she's behaving as if she's, expired milk or something.
Yeah. Which, I mean, but she probably did feel that way. Yeah. Like, I mean, she talks about it mm-hmm. all the time, about how like, mm-hmm. oh, like, she's like, no, this is what I've resigned myself to. And it's like, I mean, we can talk about what happens after, but mm-hmm. I think it's just this, like, it's taking, a certain amount of pleasure. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's so much to unpack, but
yeah. And then in the end,
is.
They go to the opera. There's a confrontation at home where Nicolas Cage comes to Loretta's home. The family is there. Aiello comes home and says, like, I proposed to you because my mother was dying and now she's not dying anymore, so I don't want to get married anymore.
Yeah, because basically there's basically he thinks, oh, she's keeping the mom alive. Mm-hmm. She was so happy mm-hmm. that she thinks like, oh, wait, if like she was on her deathbed and she's up and cooking. Like, that was great. She's on her deathbed, now she's like making him food.
So in the end, Nicolas Cage and Loretta. Yeah. Damn it, Ronnie and Loretta.
There's a great scene, which I know you loved. Go ahead. Because this is exactly what we were talking about, is basically when Johnny comes like, and everyone's there. Like, everyone, like the whole family.
The uncles,
aunts. And he goes, I can't marry you. And she's like, what do you mean?
You made a promise.
So you made a promise. And he's like, but she's about to basically break off the engagement. But I was like, that was such a great thing that she's like, what do you mean? Like, she's super outraged.
Yeah.
Even though she's like been like, this is so wrong, but I'm going to,
I think we all feel that way. It's just totally. Like, oh, I have to do this, and they do it first. Like, hey,
no, this is not the way it was going to
go.
No. So they're so by the end of the movie, they're engaged.
Yep.
Rose has confronted her husband and has said, please
stop
it. And he's like, yeah, that is like the thing that I need to do.
Yeah.
We don't know what happens to Perry, John Mahoney's character. That doesn't. So everyone, the ends. The moon's gonna wane or wax, right? Isn't wane when you go? Yeah, wane is when it goes down.
Do I look like an astronomer to you?
No.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess.
I don't know how to.
I don't. Yeah.
Move on from that.
Anyway.
Okay.
All right.
Yes. Question: when did they fall in love?
When did they fall in love? I think they fell in love. So I think they fell in love at different times.
Oh, sure.
I think that he fell in love with her that day, that first conversation that they had. Mm-hmm. Because I think she kind of caught him off guard because she refused to kind of put up with his drama, mm-hmm. but also could cut to why he was being so melodramatic. And she took care of him. And she's so open and gorgeous.
It's hard to say that she cut to it, but considering he had asked for a knife so he could cut his throat in front of everybody.
Yeah.
That was a really weird scene.
That was, yeah.
Really awkward.
Well, it's this whole thing of like, yeah, they're all like, oh, here we go again. Like, that's the thing. Like, he clearly, like, this is his little tantrum that he throws And it's a family business, so it's not even like, so in your annual review, we need to tell you that
in your annual threat to kill yourself,
in your annual, please work on.
I'll do you
trying not to kill yourself.
I'll do you one better. I know you haven't talked about Loretta yet, but just I'm in agreement with you because this is such a isolated movie. I'm gonna do you one more specific, and I'm gonna say he fell in love with her the second the first bite of steak hit his tongue.
Whoa, love. We need more.
No, just exactly that though, because they had the conversation, they had the head of butting, but the fact that she, I'm making you a steak. Well, I want it well done. You're gonna eat it rare, and
because it's good for you.
Well, that's just the extra detail. He sits down the second it hits his tongue. It's just like, this is good for me. This is better than I wanted. She is giving this to me. She has not, that's just what's happening. But that's
I love this because I think you're right. It's this moment where he's out of his head. He's like free, probably. Like, you know what I mean? He's in a physical.
Yeah, you throw a different sense in there. You throw the taste and smell. It's able to pull him out of just the thoughts.
And maybe I think for both of them that it's like they're introducing each other to a new world, which is at once scary, but it's also this world that has existed in their regular world. Yeah. They go to the same restaurant, they go to the same places, they buy their, they are living in the same neighborhood. Their families know each other.
Probably, yeah. Oh yeah.
Because Rose talks about,
but she didn't know
about the
brother, that he existed.
But it's like they have this sort of base, and then they just like in that day when they're sitting in their house, they've shown that like suddenly it's like a theater set, it's like an opera set, like they move. It's like you're in one place, and then they move the scrim, or they shine the light through the scrim, and it's somebody else, and it's another world that's always been there.
What's a scrim?
A scrim is like it's basically like usually a piece of fabric, much like a blind usually, but basically what it is from one side, it's opaque. If you shine light through it, it becomes translucent. Mm-hmm. So it's used often of like basically, it's often used in, especially like I've worked in a lot of off-Broadway theater, or in some off-Broadway theater, so there was like, it was fairly cheap. And so what's nice is that you can basically you can paint, you can do all this stuff, and so it looks like just a backdrop. And then if you shine the light on it a certain angle, then what's behind it is suddenly visible.
Okay.
Right? Becomes like translucent.
Okay, sorry.
So it's a magical kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
That can, it's kind of it's like a cheap but sort of weirdly magical effect.
Steak hit tongue.
Yeah.
That's me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for Loretta, I think it's when he kissed her and she kissed him back.
The first kiss.
The first kiss.
Okay.
I just do. I think it like the father in 16 Candles said, a good kiss, a powerful kiss can scramble anyone's brain.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I kept thinking about that.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's kind of beautiful, actually.
Yeah.
I'm really upset, and apologies to our listener, Jerry, who had brought up that if you're going to quote it, get it right.
I know. So it's not, yeah.
And so,
sorry.
So my apologies.
She is right.
Yeah, she's absolutely right. But my apologies. But the moment is when they are bantering back and forth. I believe it's when he's going to first ask her to go to the opera with him. Mm-hmm. But it's he's talking to her, and he's basically arguing. She's like, no, I'm going to go marry your brother. He's just like, you're living your life this way. You're doing this and you're going. But then now I appeared, and she just basically countered with like, you're too late, or you took too long. It was something to that effect. And the second she instantly snapped at him that way, I think that's when she did.
Oh.
And that's when she also realized it.
Yeah.
Actually, it happened before, but that snapped her into the moment of having it.
Yeah.
And I'm so irritated that I can't remember the exact moment, because as it was happening in the movie,
I know
I'm
exactly
like
what
right
you're
there.
Talking about.
It happened right there.
Well, she basically, she's like, I've already made my decision.
Yeah.
This is how it's going to go.
Sure.
And oh, that's interesting.
That's that.
Yeah, I just think it was like the kiss. It was just like, what the heck is happening?
Yeah.
Like this is not. This is. I am a completely different person now. Like she forgot to deposit the cash.
Oh yeah, I was happy that actually kind of had a payoff because
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm just like that.
I don't know,
That's
it's worrying
strange.
me.
It's like Chekhov's bag of deposit.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're going to have a bank deposit of cash
In the first scene,
and you have to have it used again because everyone's just going to worry.
Bang! Ow, my quarters.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So, what's going to happen with that? Like, what do you think?
Well, what's really funny is the family dynamic. At the very end of the movie, you have the family photo, and for some reason, in front and center is Johnny.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, I don't remember that part either.
Yeah, and I thought that was incredibly strange.
I just don't care.
Why the heck is he front and center of this photo? And then there's the parents, and then Loretta and Ronnie, and I'm just like, what's happening with this photo? I'm like, is it supposed to be? Oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. But I think that is what's going to happen is, in a way that Ronnie lost his hand, but then went down to the basement and disappeared. What's great is that he's going to come up, metaphorically, but also physically. Like, he and Loretta are going to get married. And somehow Johnny is still going to somehow be the whiner, because even though this happened and he lost his hand and so much crap happened to his brother, in turn it's just like, well, you took my fiance, but they're all still going to be like coming in together for dinner.
Yeah,
and there's going to be like,
because she's going to be like, you kind of have to make amends with your brother. Like, this is not an acceptable way to be.
No, it's not. She's going to make them make amends, but they're still going to be like,
because there's a reason that they're like, they weren't like close for their whole lives. So there's like,
accident or not, these two were butting heads from day one, especially with the mother dynamic.
Competing,
they're
and he's obviously strange because he doesn't. Cause she's like, oh, I never got along with my mother.
Right, exactly. And
so clearly he was Johnny was the favorite.
Johnny was the favorite, or he took on the role of the doting son because somebody had to do it, like the older one.
Yeah,
it's very possible he resented that role, but he clearly was taken care of, so I don't think he did, because Loretta took care of him the way his mother probably did beforehand.
Yeah.
He was inept when it came to just coming home to surprise her, and he couldn't
even the proposal, it's like
something that had nothing to do with her was very badly exexecuted.
Like I mean, even just the things he said, like,
didn't have a ring, didn't get down on one knee. But
never even got to the champagne. Like, had decided to leave. Also, bad timing.
There was a really funny thing that Loretta's father kept saying, that did not like Johnny. Doesn't like Johnny. But there's still a question of, are you going to live in the house? I think that Ronnie and Loretta are going to live together in their house. You're like twitching.
No, I'm thinking.
For some reason, I thought that was going to come to fruition because her father was so against Johnny. I think he's going to welcome Ronnie into the home. I think so. I think the grandfather's going to pass away, and Ronnie's going to come in. He's going to bond with those dogs. Because why wouldn't you bond with those dogs? Oh, those dogs are adorable.
My God. This is another thing. I didn't remember the dogs. What was I doing? God, youth is totally wasted on the young, because I did not take moments. I literally, at one point, I stopped the movie, rewound, just to watch the dogs.
Yeah. I was surprised.
It took me a while to watch this movie, because I was like going back a lot.
I was surprised that my dog Apollo did not stop to come stare at the TV when they start howling at the moon.
Oh, yeah.
No, nothing happened.
That was another really cute scene. The grandfather basically takes him for a while and tries to make all the dogs howl at the moon, which they won't do right away.
Yeah.
So then he starts doing it.
And they follow suit.
Then they do it.
I'm a sucker.
Dogs. Yeah.
Well, in the end, they're, so he's going to be welcomed into the home, and they're going to live in the home for a little while because it's a gorgeous house. Grandfather's going to die. They'll have more space. There'll be a mourning period. But I think after a little while, they'll move out together when they decide to start, I guess, their own family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what do you think? Do you think
big.
they're gonna stay the distance?
I think so.
And do you think they're going to be more like the Loretta's parents, who, though affectionate to each other, are going through, one of those periods of just not being real close?
I don't think they're very affectionate towards one another. They're very fiery towards one another. Mm-hmm. And their fire, I don't think it's different, of course, because this is a long-term marriage where they've just, the passion has snuffed its way out. But I think that their passion when they were younger is different, because I think that they were younger and they had their family and they moved forward. Whereas because Loretta comes from was married before and played it safe and then kept playing it safe, and now she has a passion in her life with this, new person in her life. I think there's different pieces because, she's 37, she's older, she's wiser, she's going to embrace this passion, but also continue in a way that's level-headed, not to where the passion will exist. It doesn't, I think that when it starts to fade, she's not going to fear it. Because she knows how to live, but having this passion in her life, and I got to stop saying the word passion because it's starting to annoy me. Having this in her life is going to keep her, she's not going to be afraid of going back to, the bookkeeper and the playing it safe and doing this other stuff, because them together, them finding one another is amazing. So she'll have it, she'll embrace it, and she'll keep it happening, but she also knows how to make her life her own. So I think that she doesn't think that life has to be because she is with him. So in turn, she's going to have her marriage, and it's going to be a good life. And the passion will evolve, but it will not fade as people fear. It will not mutate into what her parents have.
Do you think they'll be more like her aunt and uncle, who have this?
They're so sweet.
So her aunt and uncle, they own a shop, a small grocer's, and he maybe a deli, and he basically he loves to listen to song. And he at one point he wakes up and he's like, "Oh, I see the moon," and then she kind of teases him like, "Oh, I don't know what you," and then she turns to him and goes, "With the light on your face this way, you look like you did when you were 20." Or something like that. Sorry, Jerry. And
I don't think they'll be like that, because we're talking about two different generations.
Yeah.
And so the experiences are different, and also,
and then they have a very sweet moment.
They do have a very sweet moment, but are you talking about the sex?
I just mean the whole lead up. I don't know. The whole way that they kind of it's clearly their thing. They just turn to each other and it's it's just intimacy.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a baseline of intimacy.
And they do have sex.
Yeah. Ew. It's not blatant on the screen.
No. There's no.
It's implied. I think that they'll have something similar, but again, it's a different relationship. I want to say that they probably got married young as well.
Yes.
So I think it's going to be similar.
Without knowing each other for a very long time, or for knowing each other their whole lives.
It's a different version of not knowing each other for a very long time.
I mean, neither do Ronnie and Loretta.
I think it's because
Ronnie and Johnny. God, it just hit me.
Yeah, you did.
Why?
I didn't care for that at all. Ronald and Jonold. So I think it's going to be similar, but I think it's not going to be the same, because their relationship, there's going to be a lot of opera going. I'll tell you this much.
There's going to be a lot of opera.
Yeah,
there's going to be some season tickets.
Yeah, if not. But no, I think they'll go the distance. I think it'll be pretty good. I don't know if they'll have kids. I'm not positive.
I mean, age does start creeping in.
Right. She did. I mean, she
37
she might try to, fast track that, but I don't know. I don't see it in their future, because I think they have a bright moment of the two of them. And I think that's what they're going to harness.
Okay. I think they are going to have children.
Okay, go ahead.
And so I have sort of two alternate things, and they're kind of war in my head.
Pick
so
one.
my first thought was they weren't going to end up together.
Okay.
They were going to get married, and in a few years they're going to get divorced. I thought that she and they move into the house, because I think that they move into the house, and just the tension is just going to be overwhelming, because he's just going to be kind of, I think at some point when it all wears when the sort of the new relationship energy wears off, he's going to be, having crazy, freaking out for no reason, and it's going to make her crazy. And eventually she's going to be like, okay, now I need to find both of these.
Oh, I see.
I need to find passion and, not someone who's crazy. So that's like one option. The other option is that they, I don't know if they may realize very quickly, I think she is going to move out, because she's going to be like, you know what? And maybe it's after the grandfather dies, or, and I think she's going to take some of the dogs. But I think what's going to happen is basically that way, because the house, it still doesn't see, every conversation that she has with her mother and her father is sort of this like, kind of got this like life is difficult, resigned quality. And it just seems like it's too much of a battle. I think that they're living very close. I think they constantly see each other. I think she's going to still keep bookkeeping. But the thing that's going to happen is they're going to move into the house above the bakery.
Oh, okay.
She's basically going to figure out how to make just like, I think she's going to, she's going to make it, she's going to help him figure out a way to stop locking himself up in the basement, unless he's happy doing that, and kind of figure out a thing that, will make his life, like, will make it that his life has enough in it that he doesn't have to lose himself in, this drama. Like, he'll have opera. And he'll have love, and I think he will be one of those, like, not very useful, but will shower her with the kind of affection that she needs. I think, and he's going to love doing it. I do think they're going to have a kid. I have a feeling they're going to have one. Okay. And a lot of the love and pain and pathos in his life, I think he's between having going to the opera, between finding a thing at work, finding a work, and I can't really think of what it is, that is more, that sort of isn't just him like being alone and stewing in his own juices. Quite literally, it's very hot in there. And having, there's sort of having an epic, kind of thing to pour his passion into, between his wife and then raising, I imagine it to be a daughter. Okay. And making things up for her to do, like, hiring giant green limousines and like doing big things for her, to show, his over the top love for both of them. And I think that, so when I walked into this room, I was really in the first camp, but listening to you talk and your ideas, because I feel, have kind of put me into the, I think they're going to be okay camp. Now, the thing is, because it made me very sad that they would, that they wouldn't go the distance, which is weird, because I definitely feel like, it's on the length of a relationship, it's what it kind of gives you and the quality of it. But I like this story a lot. I don't know. It just sort of jives with my current frame of mind a little better. So thank you for convincing me that, like, these crazy kids just might work out.
Funny thing is that they are kids compared to, how old we are at the moment, kind of. Well, for you.
No.
You're older. You say I talked to a 33-year-old as a crazy kid, so.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, there's just like, well, that was a joke, right? Because they're not. That's kind of the whole point of the movie.
Kind of feels that way, though.
That they're kids?
Well, no, not kids, but like, when they're younger than me, they're
young.
kids.
But they're not. They're 37.
Yeah, she's older than me, but I believe he's meant to be like
a little young. Yeah, younger.
A lot younger, actually.
A lot younger.
I think the real age difference is like 15 years or something like that.
Oh, between the two characters, yeah, but
not the characters, the actors.
But yeah, no, I mean, sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah, but like, I mean, I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know how old he's intended to be. I mean, he's not young. He's been like, it's been 4 years, right? Since they've been estranged, 3 or 4?
5.
So it's been at least 5. He was engaged.
Right.
So I'm going to guess he's actually in maybe his early 30s.
Really? Okay.
The character.
Okay.
Just because of like, I mean, the whole thing would have played out over a couple of years.
Well, apropos of nothing, Nicolas Cage is timeless.
Oh, there's that.
He ages, and sometimes does not age well.
But he is
timeless.
Cher is really, really captivating in this.
I was thinking about all of the movies that I've seen when you suggested this. I'm just like, all right, Diana, go. All the movies you've seen with Cher. I haven't seen Mask. I haven't seen Silkwood. I haven't seen Burlesque. I've seen Stuck on You.
There you go.
That Farley Brothers movie.
I think I saw all of her
Matt
80s movies and then never saw another one. I mean, I saw Silkwood. I saw Mask. I, of course, saw Witches of Eastwick.
You want to go see Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again?
No.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah. Well, we have something in common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate musicals.
See, I like musicals, and I didn't even really like Mamma Mia, the first one, on a plane.
This is
and it takes a lot for me. Yeah, jukebox musicals are pretty awful, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Like possibly. they are the thing I hate.
So we're not. So our next episode is not going to be Rock of Ages.
No.
Good.
Yeah. Well, who knows? I mean, someday we might do Rock of Ages because there might be somebody out there. It could be you who's listening right now who's like, Rock of Ages is kind of a big deal for me.
It's like the greatest movie ever.
Yeah.
With Alec Baldwin and Tom Cruise and
that is
Russell
true.
Brand and also Catherine Zeta-Jones.
God, now you make me want to see it. No, you don't.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just want to say I think this movie totally does not date. I mean, yes, there's always the problematic. There's some problematic aspects. I am not going to lie, but I think this movie is actually like it's got a lot of texture. Every sort of scene and placement and conversation is supposed to be there, and you know, you can linger over them, and they're just great moments. Like it's worth a rewatch. So, you know, next time it's on something or other, like curl up and watch it. It's just a really good. It's a really highly pleasurable, intelligent movie that I think has some interesting things to say about, like, which I did not see when I was younger, about adults in love and what love does to your like practical real life, and how to have a practical long-term love affair. I think it's much better as an adult. It's like, especially, you know, somebody like, I think it's just much better as an adult, watching it as an adult than it is when you're younger, because there's just so much more to it, and you really understand what is at stake.
And there's a makeover scene. I love those.
And there's a makeover scene of Cher. Oh, she looks incredible.
Oh, it was pretty.
And those shoes. I really want those shoes, but I can't wear those shoes.
All right. So there it is. That's Moonstruck.
That is Moonstruck.
Yes. All right.
So,
thank you very much for joining us. If you want to continue the conversation,
which please do, because obviously we can't stop.
I'm trying. So you can find us on Facebook at Happily Ever Aftermath. You can tweet at us at HEAMCast.
HEAMCAST.
And if you want to go a little bit more long form, you can email us at contact@heamcast.com.
Yes, we love getting those emails.
If you like our podcast, please tell a friend. You can write a review. That's the way for other people to, that's for you to help us let other people find us.
Yes.
That's the right way.
But really the best way is like, tell a friend about it and just like make it really uncomfortable for them until they subscribe and start and then ask them about it repeatedly.
Now, Polina, if we don't do that with our own friends, I don't think we should ask our listeners to do that.
That is true. That's an excellent point.
We're going to try harder. All right.
Yeah.
I'm coming for you, my friends.
Yep.
You're going down. All right.
No pressure.
Oh, jeez. And we're very happy to be part of the Lady Pod Squad.
They are awesome.
You can check them out on various social media platforms with #Lady Pod Squad. And I would like to make a shout out. Wow. I like to give a shout out to one of the great shows of the Ladies Pod Squad, Indoors Women, Meg and Jen.
What a great title. I haven't listened to that yet.
They're so nerdtacular. That's the word I'm going to give it.
I love it.
Because it's just...
I wish I was nerdtacular.
They're analytical and their topics, it's just wide.
What are their topics?
It's wide ranging. So
neat.
The last one that I really nerded out with them was when they ranked the Chris's. So Chris Hemsworth.
Oh my God, that's like your favorite thing. We've had that conversation a bunch of times.
The 4 Chris's of the apocalypse.
Yeah.
I just made that up. That
was good.
horrible.
No, maybe that could be a month.
Oh, no.
Themes.
No, calm down.
We can't be as good.
I can't choose
everything I learned.
So just
about
watch
movies.
the Avengers movie and like all 12 of them will appear.
Yeah.
Because clones.
Yeah.
And then another one they actually did an episode about OTP, so One True Pairings, and they talked about their favorites. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I had to skip half of it because I'm just like, I haven't seen this show yet, and spoilers, so I skipped forward.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had to be really careful about it.
I'm gonna
I need to catch up on Sherlock. Anyways.
Oh,
yeah. So shout out to them. Thank you so much for being awesome because I like you.
Yay! Now I'm excited to listen.
Yeah. So our next episode, I didn't realize that I made a slight, tip to the hat of it, but Tom Cruise movie.
Here we go.
Our first Tom Cruise movie.
I can't believe we've been doing this for over a year. And we have not done a single Tom Cruise movie.
It's Rock of Ages. No, okay. No. We're actually going to be doing...
He also is in Rock of Ages? Jesus Christ.
We're doing...
How did they get all these people in this terrible movie? I've never seen it. Maybe it's terrible. Maybe it's terrific. I don't know.
We're doing the movie Cocktail.
Okay, this shocks me because I was convinced that I would be the one to do it.
Well, you got to Nicolas Cage before I did, so...
that's true. So
but
payback's a bitch.
But I really... No, ouch. I didn't realize that you had like a Cage thing, so that was an interesting conversation. So...
but it's a different Cage thing. We have entirely different relationships with
It's
Cage.
kind of strange. Yeah. So, Cocktail, that's what we're going to be talking about next time. So, thank you so much for joining us, and until next time.
See you soon.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Justine. And we make up the Cutaways podcast.
We're watching the good, the bad, and the essentials of the romantic comedy genre.
So far, we've fallen in love with Cary Grant, met up with our terrible friend, Pal Joey, and had the desire to run our fingers through Patrick Dempsey's hair.
Join our slumber party for your ears every other week, brought to you in stereo from our blanket fort in Hollywood, California.
You can find and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or your favorite podcatcher. Our digital blanket fort can be found at thecutaways.com.
If you are the social butterfly types, you can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as @Cutaways Podcast.
Bye!